Many a moon ago, I did a little discussion video about Hereditary, an A24 film that I think gets a little bit too much credit for what it is. While it's a very good film, I don't think it's like the groundbreaking breaking of ground that it's praised to be. It's a decent horror flick, and it's very refreshing horror flick, especially considering the deluge of what we've been getting over the past few years, but it's not like it's the first of its kind. It's just a refresher of what horror could be. And another film I see praised quite a bit that I also feel is a little bit too overpraised is Midsommar. Ari Aster, the director of Hereditary. Now, going into this film, a lot of people look at Hereditary and they see Ari Aster and they say, alright, this is going to be a 5 out of 5, awesome piece of daylight horror, and on many levels, they're right, that fresh tomato is deserved, just like the fresh tomato is deserved on Hereditary. They're both very refreshing takes. We haven't seen a film like Midsommar in a good long while. It takes a lot of tropes and ideas from other films, naturally, and they put them to really good use here. One of the major films that it reminded me of was The Wicker Man. The Wicker Man, both the remake and the original. I really enjoy the remake. It's a bad movie, but I really enjoy it. It's very fun. It's very fun. But the original is a excellent little small film starring Christopher Lee, who actually did it as a passion project for a very low price, lower than what he's normally charging for during the time. Either way, it was an excellent film, but the story, the synopsis of The Wicker Man, gave me that's what this film gave me strong vibes of, was that Wicker Man. In The Wicker Man, we have a character from the outside, an outsider, who is lured to this place, this cult nation area, where the people there behave a little bit strangely, a little bit differently than what he's used to, and this character starts to lash out at the strange practices that he finds within, both in the remake and the original. In the original, it is both a co-gender society, where both are in charge and able to make their own way. In the remake, it is a very matriarchal society where the men, I believe their tongues are taken out at young age, and they're only used for basically worker pigs. They don't know how to speak, they don't know how to read, they're just there to be slaves, basically. And that is a very sad reality, but it is a very strange one. And Malice, Nicolas Cage's character, is pretty put off by such a society. And near the end of the film, very entertaining, he clashes with the society to his fatal end. In Midsommar, we have a very similar type of situation going on with the main character's boyfriend character. Now, we have the typical group of teenagers, or rather group of college kids, coming out to this little society. The boyfriend was going to dump the main character before they even left, but then something strange happens. The main character's younger sister ends up killing their parents and then herself, leaving the girlfriend all alone in the span of a single night. The very night that the boyfriend had planned to dump her. So naturally, as she is completely breaking down and crying, the boyfriend realizes, I cannot be that guy to dump her right now. It would be a very terrible thing for him to do. And so, at the peer pressuring of his friends, he decides to invite her along for their college trip to this community, because a number of this little group of college kids is from this community, and much like how an Amish society has their younger youth go out into the societal world for a year to learn about the society and all that stuff, right? That's kind of a type of thing that this guy is doing. This guy who's from this society. He is inviting his friends to this society. But you get the idea that maybe something's not really as it seems with him. But right now he seems innocent enough. So our group of college kids go out to this cult. Out in the community. Out in the middle of nowhere. I forget the country. But it's got a very Celtic Germanic vibe to the place, you know. And it's really nice. It's really nice looking. The community is very interesting. Their rules and practices are shown to you in the film, rather than just outright told to you. You are shown quite a fair bit of it. The practices of the youth, the roles of the middle-aged people, and their end-of-life elders. The roles of all of those things are shown to you as well as told to you, and you learn about this society as our characters learn about it, which is very interesting. This whole community out in the middle of nowhere is a very interesting place, and almost immediately, you begin to set it aside from the community that you've seen in Wicker Man. Even though you can compare it and say it's very similar, this community is different. It is. And you are interested in it. It's not a typical horror film. There's no jump scares and all that stuff. This whole definition of what horror is has to be jump scares, has to be spooky, spooky, scary, scary. That type of definitional trope is not exactly something that is a good reputation to the horror genre. And these types of films that are redefining or bringing back an old definition is what I would rather argue for. They're bringing back an older definition of horror. Something that used to be out there that we just don't see too much of. They bring in that type of refreshing take back. Ari Aster is an A24 and all that stuff. You know, the A24 thing on the side. So you know this is going to be a refreshing take of an older genre. That's what most of these films are. They are a refreshing take on older genres. X was a refreshing take on the slasher genre. Pearl was a refreshing take on the psychological thriller. Hereditary was a refreshing take on the supernatural horror. Midsommar is a refreshing take on this creepy cult horror. That's what these films do. They give you a refreshing take on a tired genre. And I would argue that Midsommar does do really good here. But would I say that it's worth the endless amount of praise it gets? I would give it an 85. I would. It's a decent, very interesting film. The characters in it, many of them are just there to be body count. The person who was originally from this community, he gets to live until the end. He's not part of the body count. And you learn that he probably lured them here, and that's how they get new members, really, is they lure outsiders in every now and then to refresh the gene pool so that everybody's not all super incestuous, because, you know, it's a pretty tight-knit community, after all. And you get the feeling that she was picked, this character right here, she was picked psychologically, behavioral modificationally, all that stuff, man. And it's a very, very interesting thing that you think about when you're watching this film. When you know what happens at the end, and you rewatch it, and you watch all the actions that this character takes to this girl, you learn quite a fair bit that you could come to appreciate what the film is trying to do. At the end of the day, I would say it's a very strong film. It is a very refreshing take, and it is very original. I haven't seen a film like this that was released recently that wasn't, this. There's not too many films like this. Though another type of daylight horror type of movie, I would say, would probably be Get Out. And I probably want to go talk about that one eventually. Get Out is fantastic. But we're gonna end it off here. I'm not gonna spoil way too much. I would just say that while I would say it's deserving of quite a bunch of its praise, it's definitely deserving of this little thing here. It's deserving of a lot of this. It's not the first of its kind. There have been other films that did this, but they've done it quite a bit ago. And horror took a different direction after a certain point in time, as it is wont to do. And then A24 takes these films and brings them back to refreshing directions that maybe if you've watched quite a bit of 2000s era horror and you're kind of tired of that 2000s era horror, you watch these and you realize, these aren't that bad. These aren't half bad. I want to watch more of these. And I can definitely say it is worth your attention.